The Seven Eyes of God lecture by Neville Goddard, 1959. Tonight, I aim to delve into a passage from the Bible, widely regarded as the greatest book globally, to share a vision from the book of Zechariah, specifically focusing on the concept of the seven eyes of God. Zechariah's vision describes a stone with seven facets, and a voice explains, "These are indeed the seven eyes of God that encompass the entire world, for these seven eyes truly reside within man, as man is the soil of God." Forget about this small planet and recognize that man is the true soil in which God is planted. These are the seven perceptions of God, seven progressively illuminating visions of the Creator. While the Bible mentions them, you must explore and uncover their meanings. The first is referenced only once in the Bible in Isaiah 14, portraying Lucifer, the morning star, fallen and cast down to the ground. The idea of man's fall is not exclusive to Christian or Jewish beliefs, it is a concept embraced by various cultures. Hence, the first eye of God is Lucifer, fallen to the ground. The second eye is Molech, the peculiar god demanding sacrifices, as mentioned in Jeremiah 32. Man offers his children in an attempt to appease this deity he perceives as God. However, the voice emphasizes, "I did not command this, nor did it come to my mind. Do not commit this abomination to lead Judah into sin." This eye is present in every individual who believes they have displeased God and must make sacrifices for appeasement. Wars worldwide are often rooted in this notion of appeasement. Historical events like the Inquisition, with its tortures, were acts of appeasement for God. The burning of individuals in wicker baskets was an attempt to pacify God's wrath. Everything was done to appease God and prevent his anger. The third eye is Elohim or gods, referring to deities above and beyond man, elements worshipped, stars and planets considered to govern life and influence behavior. Man turns to external forces, ultimately failing and lamenting abandonment. The fourth eye is El Shaddai, the Almighty. In this perception, man seeks security and comfort, governments, powerful political entities, rulers in whom trust is placed, all of which ultimately fail him. The fifth eye is Baal, signifying the act of digging a pit or capturing animals. This extends beyond hunting wildlife and involves trapping fellow humans. This phenomenon is prevalent today, notably in extensive advertising campaigns, where individuals are manipulated into buying products they previously overlooked. The sixth eye is Jehovah, translating to "I am." Here, man moves away from manipulative tactics, no longer needing to trap others but confidently asserting himself. Bold inner persuasion creates conditions where "I am" is convinced. This is Jehovah, the sixth eye. The seventh eye is Jesus or Jehovah saves, signifying redemption. In this perception, man boldly affirms himself, yet his heart aches for those still unaware, sacrificing himself for others and offering himself for the greater world, not in alignment with conventional religious teachings but following a mystic path. He declares, "You will catch anyone. It matters not who he is or what deeds he has done, as he is merely in a state." You don't pass judgment on anyone, instead, you extract him from that state by associating him with the idea he wishes to embody. As you persist in holding on to your vision for that person, he will manifest your ideal and transform into that. This corresponds to the eye referred to as Jesus, or the seventh eye. An eighth eye, only implied in the Bible, is unveiled on the eighth day during a child's circumcision, revealing the organ of creation. There exists an eye within man, he asserts. It did not arrive, it concealed itself in the forest of Albion. Albion, according to Blake, symbolizes the universal man, be it man or woman. This eye remains hidden in the depths of the Albion forest, within the intricate convolutions of the brain. There, this eye conceals itself. When you begin to actively employ your imagination for the benefit of another person, taking genuine joy in their happiness as they embody their desires, surpassing the delight you experience for yourself, that is the eye of Jesus. It transforms into the perfected vision of the seventh eye of God. Then, something stirs and trembles, akin to a force attempting to break free from an egg. It is something striving to crack the Gagoda and the Gagatico skull, as the term implies. However, it is held in place by 5 nails, representing the 5 senses. These senses confine an individual to this worldly realm, and liberation occurs from this skull when the seventh eye of Jesus is illuminated. The eighth eye perceives concrete reality for the first time. After this clear sight, one refrains from blaming others because, with the eighth eye, a perfect world is observed. This is symbolized by circumcision or revealing the perfect organ, which is the human imagination. On the eighth day, one is circumcised, denoting the opening of the eighth eye. This does not transpire over time but only after the enlightenment of the seventh eye of Jesus. Then, it is realized that one has become the man who can evolve into God. God condenses to this threshold of opacity, and residing in this state can be likened to the tomb of man. God enters the door of death alongside those who enter and lies in the grave with them in visions of eternity until they awaken. These are the seven visions: Lucifer, the fallen one; Molech, the entity demanding sacrifices, now recognized as nationalism. Despite the voices counsel against it, they sacrifice their sons and daughters to Molech, leading Judah into sin. Ailing, man turns to the third eye, Elohim, but receives no response from the stars and planets. He then directs his attention to the fourth eye, El Shaddai, the Almighty, involving financial and political deities. Departing from it, he digs a metaphorical pit, subjecting people worldwide. This represents the fifth eye, currently prevailing in much of the world. Ailing again, he discovers that I Am or Jehovah is the sole reality. He constructs his world according to his desires and, when unwell, sacrifices himself for others, contributing entirely to their well-being, bringing joy to others by his good fortune. As stated in Job 42 verse 5, I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Suddenly, an internal transformation occurs, and the eighth eye opens, marking the circumcision of the mind, not the flesh and bone. When an opening occurs within you, you comprehend the rationale behind everything, realizing the existence of eternity. You gain the capacity to uplift anyone in this world from any state. This is the eighth eye of God. I'd like to share an experience with you, emphasizing that true knowledge comes through experimentation. We encourage you to undergo this experience because genuine knowledge is rooted in the faculty of experiencing. Once you've had these experiences, you no longer seek validation from others. It becomes inconsequential whether anyone else acknowledges it, you know it for yourself. Let me share this experience with you. As the process of awakening unfolds, you commence remembering. If Christ is at the center, you can declare, "Return to my glory, which was mine before the world existed." I am crucified with Christ, yet alive, not I, but Christ lives in me. Now, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. The man is Christ, and he predates the world. Upon awakening, the world ceases to be a source of genuine instruction because a man in the process of awakening recognizes the inherent falseness of worldly concepts. Psychologists often view dream states as subjective and deep dream states as unconscious, doubting their significance. However, upon opening the eighth eye, you realize there are worlds within worlds, and you inherit all of them. You can test your experiences, bring whatever you desire into your world, and validate it. In a past experience, I felt like I was dreaming and swimming. It was a conscious dream, and I observed the coastline of a primitive island, distinct from the cultivated island of my birth. Oddities like decaying cement posts submerged in the water caught my attention, likely remnants of a former pier. The primitive beach seemed peculiar, and I intentionally prolonged the dream. An inner sense suggested that grabbing one of those stakes would awaken me right there, and it felt tangibly real. When I woke up, I found myself in the water on that beach and then proceeded ashore. The lesson learned was profound. Touching anything in another world and forcing oneself to wake up ensures its reality, just as you can do for your world. Whether it's a desired job, the house you wish to inhabit, or the marriage you long for, engage your imagination. Sit at the table in your envisioned home, feel the surroundings, and marry the ideal person in your imagination. If it's absent from your mind, you'll manifest it in your external reality. This innate ability, known as Westerneth by the ancients, associates with the sense of touch. If you can grasp and touch the imagined thing before waking up, you'll find it materialized in reality, a concept reflected in Genesis through the story of Esau and Jacob, Isaac. The visually impaired father instructed, "Come close so I can touch you." As one approaches, the state represented by Jacob, the supplanter, becomes tangible in the stead of the previously perceived reality symbolized by Esau. A parallel narrative is found in Judges 17-19, where Samson's 7 locks of hair were shaved, and the Philistines blinded him. Left sightless, he was made to dance before the crowd. Requesting to be taken to the temple, he sought the 2 middle pillars, touched them, and brought down the structure, causing more havoc than he did throughout his life. This symbolism underscores the significance of touch. I can attest to this phenomenon from personal experiences, finding myself dreaming, holding an object within the dream, and subsequently waking up in another realm. This concept extends to various facets of existence, such as my attempt in Barbados to be visible to my sister 2,000 miles away. Whether in this context or another realm, the principle remains consistent, as there are infinite worlds, and you inherit dominion over all of them. The achievement of desires in this world is feasible through the utilization of the 5th or 4th eye. Those guiding us into conflict employ the 2nd and 3rd eyes, with few tapping into the 6th, and merely a fraction utilizing the 7th eye, the eye of Jesus. True opening of the 7th eye occurs when you find joy in others' well-being more than your own, signifying readiness for the 8th eye's unveiling. The 7th eye, the eye of Jesus, is not tied to the man born 2,000 years ago, rather, it pertains to the expansive human mind. When the 7th is exercised, a transformative opening transpires. This marks the advent of the 8th. Until the complete activation of the 7th, it remains concealed in the forest of Albion, within the intricate folds of the brain. Initially, the sensation might be daunting, akin to an electric battery moving in one's head. Memories flow from one side and centralize, paving the way for a profound revelation of a world unseen by others. The 7th eye operates purely on faith. The individual may not be certain of God's redemption and may even lament, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Yet, a new world emerges. The quest for security and comfort through the 4th eye characterizes figures like dictators and political machines. They profess to save the nation or the world, only to be deposed later, departing with substantial wealth. Those attaining the 6th eye or I am don't seek conversion. They affirm, "I am what I will be, I am what I am." You can be that or anything you want. Beyond this, a desire for nothing for oneself, solely for others, marks the journey towards surrendering to humanity. When this selflessness is fully embraced, the 8th eye opens. Biblical stories unveil the progression of the human mind, with the 8th eye's revelation occurring only after the 7th is exercised. Hence, mastery of the sense of touch, referred to as the Western Gate, is vital. Though initially closed within man, he must acquire knowledge about it before closing this eye. I was advised not to keep a secret and have experienced the act of holding onto an object in a dream and waking up in a different location than my bed. I must convey to you, I awaken in a reality where I am grasping the object. Numerous times, I've transitioned from this reality by holding onto an object here, waking up, and finding it as tangible as this one, only to return to it. I inhabit one body here, another there. Upon my return here, the whereabouts of that other body remain uncertain. I am not confined to one body, as I am dispersed throughout the world. As a person begins to awaken, they gather the fragmented aspects of themselves and ultimately discover the being that is God. Loving everyone in this world and experiencing boundless joy in doing good for others, responding to their requests through imaginative creation, provides confirmation of this reality, and in that confirmation, one rejoices. When God rejoices, I have declared that my joy may abide in you. The moment someone awakens, that is the eye of God. The 7th is clearly affirmed, and the 8th is implicit. I assure you, it will feel akin to a girl breaking out of the egg within the skull. Christ is crucified on this cross, symbolizing man with 5 nails, the 5 senses. A parallel meaning is found in the tale of the 5 foolish virgins. Now, freeing himself from this crucifixion, he seizes the wing. I affirm that you will encounter myriad marvelous revelations in the awakening of God and man because God incarnated as man so that man might become God. Consequently, this magnificent poem, which initially existed solely for God, is now beginning to exist for itself. The wise figures emerge in the poem, ascending to elevated states, and we eventually become creators, integral members of an infinite society of God. Unfortunately, the world's priesthood misinterprets this eighth eye and proceeds to circumcise the child. It is the imagination that requires unveiling, not the physical organ, and this unveiling only occurs after the perfect clarity of vision through the eye of Jesus. Jesus, signifying Jehovah saves, ensures that none are lost, they have merely fallen into a state. Yet, through the eye of Jesus, you rescue them. By understanding their desires and visualizing their ideal conditions, you witness the manifestation, and you rejoice for lifting them from the mire. Repeating this process, your mind becomes vibrant, pulsating with electric currents, and you discern the necessary actions, much like a woman in labor knows what to do. Subsequently, the area where the skull fused post-birth reawakens, revealing another realm. You comprehend that the world was fashioned perfectly, with each state being flawless, and then you realize you are awake to play harmoniously in this eternal world, unveiling the exquisite combinations crafted by your Father. If tonight's discourse seems different than anticipated, nothing is more pragmatic than the sixth eye. In the sixth eye, you can shape your world according to your desires. In essence, the fifth eye accomplished this. You can ensnare various individuals in your traps. Consider the morning newspapers, every advertisement designed to drain us and deplete our pockets, generating excitement through the allure of power. Every year introduces new traps to acquire what we possess. There are new forms of credit, and no one departs leaving anything behind. The entire scenario is a trap, now ingrained in the way of life, the fifth eye. Then comes the sixth, followed by the seventh, and ultimately the eighth. When the eighth eye opens, forgiveness extends to everyone in the world, regardless of their actions. As an individual traverses through all the eyes, worshipping Elohim and sacrificing to Molech, the opening of the eighth eye brings the understanding that nothing displeases the Father. But disbelief is displeasing. Sin, on the other hand, does not displease. Worldly priesthoods assert that sin is displeasing, but it's solely unbelief that displeases, because those who seek Him must have faith in Him. Anything you can believe in becomes an image of truth. For instance, if you believe that someone in dire need is now well cared for, He can transform into that reality. Understand, sin does not displease your Father, it simply signifies missing the mark. He comes into the world to teach everyone how not to miss the mark. If I falter, He exerts a greater effort to guide me on how to hit the mark. In Hebrews 11, those who approach Him must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. Therefore, seek first, and all these things will be added unto you. These are the eight eyes of man. The eighth remains concealed in the forest of Albion or the intricate convolutions of the brain. Breathing exercises, diets, or yoga will not bring it out, it only emerges when you look through the seventh eye, the vision of Jesus. It involves perceiving only the goodness in others and rejoicing in it more than what is solely for yourself. This is when you start to see through the eighth eye of God. Employ the seventh eye with emotion. Take every person, regardless of color, race, or creed, and ask only Him for what you desire. In Him, there is no distinction between Greek or Jew, slave or free. So, consider everyone, as they have merely fallen into a state, and choose the desires of that individual. Convince yourself that they are now the embodiment of the ideal they wish to become. As you utilize the seventh eye, the eighth emerges from the forest of Albion. The unveiling of the eighth eye is indeed the second coming of Jesus, because when the seventh becomes perfectly clear, the eighth opens as if released from the tomb. It becomes evident that one cannot be truly Christian without using the seventh eye. Even the Pope is not a Christian if he employs the fourth eye. All the world's priesthoods, as well as those claiming omnipotent powers, utilize the fourth eye. However, you must engage the eye of Jesus. Jesus is the eye of God that sacrifices for the entire vast world, offering Himself for all beings in the world while envisioning His ideal, His perfect state. Now, let's enter into silence.